Hey, Ronald, Earl, Wilsher.
I still got Mr. R. I still have that little buzz in my ear. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay. Because I'm looking at you.
You look like you should have a buzz in your ear.
You mean that in a nice way, right?
In the very nicest way. Very nicest ways. I just realized here that there are several things that we can do. Anyway, so what's going on in your world today?
Well, I've been looking forward all week to coming to see RussJohns.com and do some more of these podcasts.
And I've been looking forward to publishing all these podcasts for RonaldEarlWilsher.com.
Well, you've been doing a good job, and if you'll notice, I've been one-plussing them and liking them, and I'm going to start sharing them in my weekly email, my Way Cool Friends list.
Well, what we need to do next is publish a few more, so let's get back to it and see what we can accomplish.
Let's do it.
Okay, we're back now, and we're getting some interesting stuff in the studio happening today.
It seems, Russ, we're close to some kind of religious organization or church.
Yes.
It sounds like bass and drums and some singing or something.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
It's kind of inspirational.
Yeah, and it is, what's today?
Sunday.
Today is Sunday, so.
Yeah. We're recording this on a Sunday, so we'll have to, we'll discover how it turns out on the recording. And we're just going to continue to record and create this podcast and assist you in your pursuit of happiness and information as we go through the day.
Yeah, our whole goal on all these podcasts, number one, is for us to have some fun. You know, you only get one chance at today, but that's enough if you do it right.
Absolutely.
Secondly, we want to, Russ, as you have said, to help other people realize the power they have if they properly engage in the new media.
Absolutely. And just to recap, the first episode we covered, why we're going to do this podcast, and it's just a start. We just launched. And that's a critical idea that everybody has to take on. Just get started. Just do something in a forward motion.
Because basically, we're not pros here. We don't really know what the hell we're doing, right, Russ?
No.
Oh, was that my out loud voice? But the thing that is amazing, like you said, and powerful about this is our goal is as we go through this to improve, simplify, refine, and get better and better. Because as I was telling you earlier, we talked about this, Russ, you can correct something, you can't correct nothing.
Yeah.
So you have to start, and that's what we've done.
And I can't is not an option.
Right, because, and I want to talk about this too, about people that go out and do something.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody the other day. I did a Branding for Humans class for a bunch of real estate agents, and I do a lot of those. Mm-hmm. And I said to the class, the only sad thing about what we're talking about today, this is really powerful information, but the sad thing, most of you people in this room are not going to do a damn thing with it.
No.
And I said, but, the good part of that is, for the few of you in here that will do something with it, you have no competition. You have no competition.
Because those that do excel past the ones that don't.
Right, and the ones that don't, they're sitting watching TV or, making excuses. And, of course, I've been there myself, but there's power in just getting started. I always say energy or action creates energy, not the other way around. Once you get going, then you start developing the energy, and it takes on a life of its own.
Don't you feel that you feel elevated when you accomplish something?
I feel elevated, but I'm a little different, Russ. I've never really been one, and we'll probably have to talk about this in a podcast sometime, but I've never been a big person on setting goals traditionally. I think it's important.
In the traditional sense.
In the traditional sense. I think it's important to know what you want. Absolutely. You must decide what you want and get very clear on it.
And define that.
And define it. But I'm not a real person that says, man, if I don't, I got to do this, and this today. And I got to do this, and this by the week. And this is my monthly. And I've never been big on that. I'll give you a real quick example. As a lot of people know, I used to sell real estate. I sold new homes for a living. Yeah. I did it almost 10 years. And I was very fortunate to cash some really large checks. And I had my boss come out one time, and he looked at me. He goes, "So, Ronnie, how many houses you going to sell this weekend?" And I looked him straight in the eye, and I said, I called him by name. I said, "I'm going to sell as many as I can." But see, most people didn't realize, I think one of the things that made me successful in that industry is I always showed up. I was always there.
Yeah.
And I was always honest with people. So no matter what you're doing in life and your endeavor, if you show up on time and you're honest with people, you literally have 90% beat, because most people don't even do that. So I think during these podcasts as we develop them, we want to talk a lot more about the why, and we're going to give you a lot of hows, but
and I think it's absolutely critical. If you want us to talk about something specific or address a specific topic, just reach out. Twitter, Facebook, Google, on our websites. There's so many ways that you can track us down that there's no reason why we can't open a dialogue and start a conversation. Right?
Absolutely. Russ at russjohns.com is one place I get a hold of you.
Yeah, and Ronald at ronaldwilsher.com.
That's one I used for 13 years.
Yeah. It's very simple, very concise.
It even sounds good coming off the tongue. Not quite as good as russjohns.com. But, I'm a little partial to that name, I told you, because my dad and my brother's name was John. So that's one of the reasons. I don't know if I told you when I first met you that I started liking you, because you had a good name. So.
I thought it was my charming personality.
Well, that took over later. But
after I opened my mouth. And then the second thing that we really talked about in the next episode was the start an email list. Your list is absolutely how you measure and monitor your conversations. Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to? What is it the conversation is all about? And starting generating that dialogue is going to increase your revenue.
Well, and here's the thing, Russ, that I've learned, and I've always told people this. You could take away I've built an extremely lucrative business, as you have, based on my personality. And the way I've done it is through an email list. And I tell people, you could take away every single thing, every business asset that I own, but you say, Ronnie, you can keep one thing. What would you keep? I absolutely would keep my email list. If we mentioned this every podcast, it still couldn't be overstated, the importance of that. Because if you go back, and Russ, we were talking about Pat Flynn, smartpassiveincome.com, and Derek Halpern, trying to remember his, it's derekhalpern.com, but forget his website.
The name of his...
see if it was his name, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think he does have his name. But anyway, all these people, if you go back, Frank Kern, if you go to Armin Morin, all these people, and ask them, they built highly lucrative businesses on the internet. And if you were to ask them, if you had to go back and start your business over, what would you do differently? And to a person, every single one of them will say, I would have started my list earlier. So as we talk about, this is going to be a reoccurring theme on these podcasts, is the importance of that list, because it allows you to keep your name and face in front of people. It allows you to keep contact.
Yeah.
Right? And so...
Derek Halpern is Social Triggers.
Social Triggers, there you go. Yeah. Sorry, Derek. That's a really good email that I read and videos
Absolutely.
watch.
Seth Godin.
SethGodin.com is another good one.
Smart Passive Income.
Pat Flynn, that's a good one.
Pat Flynn. Derek Halpern, Social Triggers.
Right. Frank Kern, and I forget, he has several, but he's another guy.
I'm not familiar with Frank Kern.
Frank Kern is a really cool dude. He looks like Daryl Worley.
Yeah.
For all the women in the audience that know who Daryl Worley is in country music. But he's basically, what I remembered about Frank Kern, I learned that word from my dad.
Kern?
No, remembered. Here's Frank Kern's deal. Here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what you need to do. That is the sales cycle in a nutshell. Here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what you need to do. And so our whole theme, and you'll notice this as we develop these podcasts, is going to be how to refine and simplify your message. There is genius in simplicity. Genius is the ability to make the complicated simple.
Yeah.
And so when you get down to it, I always say simple and fun is better than complicated and boring. So if you can simplify somebody's life for us, they will give you money.
And that's as we continue this podcast, we are going to talk about simplification, how to keep it simple, KISS principle, keep it super simple.
Keep it simple, sweetie.
And any other variation that you happen to know in your neighborhood.
I like that one.
Yeah. and so we're going to wrap this episode up, and we really want to thank you for being here. We want to thank you for attending and paying attention and staying on board, and give us tips, helpful hints, anything that we can do to help your business grow. And we'll see you at the next episode of A Little R&R.
With RussJohns.com and
Ronald, Earl, Wilsher.com. Thank you, folks.